Hi, this is Karma Lichty-Baumann with Onward Studios. In this short video, I want to show you the steps I go through in selecting a domain name, acquiring a domain name, and then also finding a web host. Now in this video, I'm going to do acquiring a domain name and a web host as the same step because my recommendations that I give you will be to go with siteground.com, and you get a free domain name with that as well as a web host. So to get started, I've already kind of thought about maybe a domain name that I want, and you may want to spend some time with this, get a little creative in options, especially if your first domain name isn't available. I recommend going to namecheap.com to find a domain name. Now I don't recommend purchasing a domain name here on Namecheap, which is an option. Because you get a free domain name with your web host, don't buy one here on Namecheap. Just use this website to search for a domain name that is available. Now you could also do this step with your web host, but I found it's much easier and quicker and you get more ideas if I use Namecheap. And there are other options too, other websites that do the same thing. I'm just very familiar with Namecheap. So here on namecheap.com on their homepage, I'm going to type in, say I want to do a domain called creatives.com. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in and do a search. It's going to come back and let me know if it is available, and if not, some other extensions, which is like a .xyz, .club, etc., that I could use that are available. These here that say make offer means it's not available. For the most part, you can make an offer. That could be hundreds of dollars, it could be thousands of dollars, or it could be $50. It really depends on who has already purchased it and what they're willing to negotiate. I've done that one time, and I did get a domain name that I really wanted for $100. But if it's available, you can get a domain name for less than $10 a year. So I recommend finding a domain name that is available. And I recommend sticking with the .com. Any of the other ones, people are going to automatically type in .com after your domain name, so I tend to like to stick with .com. So I know that .com is not available based on these search results here. So I'm going to try something else. Let's say I want to do, I'm put my first name in front of Creatives, so I'm going to do karmascreatives.com. And there they have one. So that one I know is available. So I'm not going to buy it here, because I want to get the domain name which comes free with my web host. So if you're following along in your free WordPress guide, Show Your Creative Work, in there I recommend SiteGround as a potential web host. Now if you're going with the other recommendations I have in that guide or WordPress.com, you won't need to do this step. If you're using WordPress.com, go to that site and go through their steps. The other web host I recommend is WP Engine. So it might look a little bit different on WP Engine, but the process it will be very, very similar. So on SiteGround.com, I've decided I want them as my web host. I have found my domain name that I want to use. I'm going to go to the WordPress Services option off the main menu. Select WordPress Hosting, Learn More. I'm going to click on this option to get premium WordPress hosting starting at $3.95 per month, which is a great price. Now this is a discount for the first year. After the first year, as it says here, it's going to go up to $9.95 per month, which is very, very reasonable. I'm going to go ahead and click Order Now. It's going to ask you, what do you want your domain name? Since we already did our search for that, I'm going to type in the domain name that we came up with. It's going to be .com. Now it's going to take its time here and go out looking to see if this domain name is available. And eventually we'll come back and say you're good to go. And then I give my information about myself. I'm not going to spend the time typing all this in. It's going to ask you for a password. And make sure you write this down somewhere. This password is going to be used to get into what we call the control panel of your website. You need to get to the control panel of your website to do some behind-the-scenes information. It's going to ask for your credit card. Go with the startup plan, which is the one that we selected. It's going to default to a closed server. You leave everything else as selected, except for this bottom part, extra services. You get your domain registration free. It's going to add on, if you do not select these, it's going to add on $12 per year for domain privacy and $12 per year for hack alert monitoring. If you want those, keep those turned on. If you don't want those, make sure you deselect those. I tend not to use those, but it's totally up to you how you want to do that. Pay now. And then we'll go ahead and create an account for you. And then you're good to go. I'm not going to do that right now because I don't want to purchase this. This is just kind of demo on the steps you will take to set up your account, which will include your domain name and your web host.